Welcome to the Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
Let's welcome back to the show actor and comedian Miguel Rivas.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Hello. Thanks for having me.
I know you're fresh back from a family vacation in Brazil. Sorry about the weather, and that's all we're going to say. But
I don't want to brag, but I wish I was still there. I'll say it.
I get it. But you're here with us, right?
Here I am. I'm in the Brazil mindset. This is it.
It's like
going to Brazil, it's the same.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, listen, stuff's been going on social media as per usual, and now a social media campaign is calling on Americans to abstain from shopping as part of an economic blackout going down tomorrow. Tomorrow. They say it's a way for consumers to flex their power. So, do you believe that speaking with your dollar truly makes a difference in these times? What do you think, Leo?
Yeah, I support it. I think it's a really good idea. But these companies are so big, you know? So a one-day boycott, are they really going to feel it? I'm not sure. I think what's more important about it is that we as consumers feel like we're unified and that we do have that power. You know, like the way we've pushed back on the tariffs from the US and united as Canadians, it felt like, oh, we can still do that. Like we can still make a plan. I just don't want this to be the finish line.
Yeah.
Or to feel like we're done. Like this has to be the mindset going forward. We have to fight back.
I mean, I think the one-day thing is a problem. I also worry that, like, I don't know, did you guys know about this? Did any of you know about this? Like, I feel like
You did know about it.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. I did not know about this. And so I wonder if the fragmentation of audiences is going to mean that, like, this message isn't going to get out to everyone. It's no longer the world where you sit down and everybody watches the exact same news things. Everyone's on different things. Everyone gets different algorithms. So this wasn't fed to me yet. So unless you have a huge amount of people doing this tomorrow, I don't think companies will notice.
Well, we're spreading the message here, right? The social is part of the revolution.
That's a good point. I love that you said that, but I agree with you. Here's the deal. When it comes to making change, I think sometimes we can feel like we're very small up against a huge company, but when we gather together, we have a lot more power. And I'd say one day is cute, but it's not enough. And in order to get someone's attention, you really got to punch them in the wallet. Like, just look at what's happening to all the big box stores who rolled back their DEI programs in the US. They are hurting. Target is hurting the most because they're getting sued for doing it, and they're also seeing the foot traffic in their store slow down completely. And just a few weeks ago, after the DEI programs were eliminated, social activist Reverend Al Sharpton led a march in a New Jersey Costco. And what he was having everybody say was, shop at Costco, we support those who support us. Right? Which is a smart thing to say. Now, what's interesting about that is since that has happened, foot traffic in Costco has dropped by 3.9%.
Dropped.
3.9%. Because they are not supporting.
Because they're not supporting Target. So the foot traffic dropped by 3.9% in Target. But everybody was encouraged to shop at Costco, who has seen a 4.6 increase in their foot traffic.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. Together, over a long period of time, you can enact change. Absolutely.
I agree, because I think we're all saying the same thing, like one day, can that be effective? But I think that we have two swords to wield as citizens. Number one, our vote. And number two is our money. And if we see what's happening, to your point of the Buy Canadian, I was reading about travel. You just came back from traveling. I just came back from a vacation. And I made a very clear choice to not travel to the United States of America. Now, but clearly it's working when we do it together, because the U.S. Travel Association said a 10% reduction in Canadian travel to the United States is going to be translated into a loss of $2.5 billion and a loss of 14,000 jobs. Air Canada has cut, because of what's happening with the tariffs and plummeting demand, Air Canada has now cut flights down to very low numbers to Florida, Las Vegas, and Arizona, places where a lot of Canadians travel. It's working, is what I'm saying.
It always works.
It does work. So I do think we have a vote. There's an Ontario election today. We probably have a federal election coming up. So governments, corporations, I don't think one day is going to work, but I think this works to keep it top of mind for us to tackle corporate greed.
Absolutely. All right. So, speaking of flexing your power, a woman posted on Reddit to ask if she's wrong for telling her husband she doesn't trust him with the kids because he didn't properly tend to the baby's diaper rash. So, is it unrealistic to expect both parents to be able to fully care for their own children? Audience?
Yes.
Okay, the women are like, yes.
Well, yes, it's unrealistic. Okay, unrealistic. That's a big word, because on paper, both parents should be able to do everything in the household. I mean, that's on paper. But the statistics don't actually bear that out. They still say that women, after a full-time job, are still doing an additional 15 hours of unpaid housework at home, over and above their husbands, right? And obviously in a heterosexual relationship. So what we try to do in our house is noticing. Like, the reason why I don't know that the shingles have to be changed is because that's not my job. I don't look at the roof every day, but my husband does. So he notices. I don't notice when the oil has to be changed in the cars because that's not my job. So when it's not usually your job, you don't notice. So make it his job and make him notice so that it's less work for mom at home. When I come home and I see garbage is overflowing, everyone in the house sees the garbage overflowing. But why am I the one changing it? Everyone's noticing. So notice and then teach. You don't agree?
No, it's not that I don't agree.
She wants to see you on that roof, Mel. Get up there.
I was just like, I obviously we should strive for equal labor in the home, but is it identical labor? Like, you just happen to list.
No, I said equitable. Let's go equitable.
Okay, but again, like, so your husband is noticing the roofs, the shingles, the gas, or whatever it was he was saying, and you're noticing different things. I just think it's maybe unrealistic sometimes to expect us to see everything through the exact same lenses. I mean, you're the man. Before I go into my points, I want to know, how do you,
Dad,
like, you're going to represent all men.
Yeah, let me speak on behalf of all men, but especially the ones doing a good job, right? Like, well, my thought here is also you're changing the baby and not doing anything about the diaper rash. You have your relationship with your partner. What about your relationship with the kid? You're going to just put the kid in a diaper with a diaper rash? Don't you feel bad about that? You need to.
Did he notice the diaper rash though?
I think so. He called to be like, help me, there's a diaper rash, what do I do? You owe it to your child to be able to take care of them no matter what the situation, right? Like, of course you want to be equitable to your partner, but you want to be a good father to your children. What could happen to your partner? You never know.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so interesting to listen to this conversation because this triggers a fear I've always had in dating, where it's like, you know what, when you meet someone at a bar, at a workplace, wherever you meet them, and you're dating and everything's good, there are certain things, while you think that you're like going through your list of all the things you want that person to have, there are certain things you're not going to know about this person until you get into the thick of it. And I feel like this woman is realizing, as she's under the same roof and has a child with this man, that he is not good at taking care of her child and wouldn't notice a diaper rash. That's something that's very simple. But what is she gonna do? She is stuck now. This is the father of her child. They're under one roof. What is she gonna do? Now I feel like this woman is in that mentality. I'm wondering if a lot of women feel this way, where you're married, but you feel like a single mother in your own home. Because now you feel like you have to take on all the responsibility of taking care of this child because you can't trust the adult.
Do you think he can change?
That's a great question. This is why I'm single. I don't think so. I'm also going to be honest with you. I also sometimes feel, because I have a lot of girlfriends who are married, and, you know, we try to have a girls' night, and then a lot of them feel like they have to rush home after like an hour and a half because they can't leave the kid with the husband. And I'm like, I'm wondering sometimes if it's not weaponized incompetence. Okay, it's not the husband going, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. You got to come back. Can you come back in an hour and a half? Because I don't know. You do it so much better. And then she comes home and she does it, and then he goes, perfect. And he lays back and is like, yeah. Okay.
She's supposed to have 2 kids, not 3 kids, right?
I know, but there are a lot of women who feel like their husband is an
I'm
extra
not saying
child
that there
in the
aren't
house.
men out there like that in straight relationships, for sure, but I also think it's worth talking about the women whose anxiety maybe is such that they decide that they control all of the aspects of the home. We've all seen this. We all know friends like this.
Yeah, it's not my fault.
My husband, no, I've heard people say, like, my husband doesn't do X, Y, or Z right. He doesn't do my daughter's hair right. He doesn't, like, you know, I don't know. I can
just berating him for everything.
Yeah, and then at a certain point, you become intimidated, and at a certain point, you're just like, I'm not going to participate in this because it caused conflict, so I'm going to avoid that. And I think that's something that we have to recognize in and of ourselves. And I can also flip this around with the genders. There have been times when Jason does things one way, even in parenting, and I don't do it the same way. So, for example, everyone's had this experience. Child gets up in the middle of the night, they're sick, they've had vomiting, okay? So I'm really chill about this. I'm just like, it happens very rarely, we'll deal with it, we'll throw you in the shower, we'll deal. He puts on like a hazmat suit, and he is like, the bleach is out, and he cannot wait, and da-da-da-da-da. So when something like that happens, I'm not gonna, like, it's like, you do it your way, I'm gonna do it my way. I think my way is better, but is there a right way to do this particular scenario? I don't know. I think we need some nuance here.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Okay. Yeah, we just want to say to any dad out there, we're glad you're helping, okay? Don't stop. Don't stop. Maybe do it a little more.
It is election day here in Ontario, and with the harsh winter conditions, there's concern that some voters are going to have a hard time getting to the polls. So this begs the question, should winter elections in Canada be forbidden?
No, thank you.
Yeah, I think, you know, a lot of people feel like this election is already kind of maybe not necessary. It's extremely expensive. Yeah. The current government already has a majority, so it feels like we're being forced to the polls anyways. And voter turnout is always so low. Why are we putting up any barriers? It should be made as easy as possible and as accessible as possible.
Okay, wait, but don't you think it sounds ridiculous for snow to be a barrier in Canada? It's not like we're in Florida where we got snow and we don't expect it and we don't know what to do. This is Canada. I'm sorry, snow removal we should have this down pat in 2025. I was just watching a press conference with our mayor, Olivia Chow, and she was answering questions as to why our snow removal is so horrible. And she said, I don't know, there's a contract there, and I don't know if I can break the contract. And this is a contract, by the way, tens of millions of dollars. And I'm thinking, how is this happening in this country where we know we have snow? Regardless of an election, people need to leave their house. Parents need to be able to push a stroller. People who have disabilities should be able to get in their wheelchair and still go places.
Yeah.
I don't understand how we haven't figured that out in this country. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I will say that it's technically speaking, I looked at all the provinces across the country, we don't actually have winter elections. The majority of them happen in May or June or October. And in fact, Alberta, theirs is in May, and they are pushing to move that to October. Why? Actually, because of climate change. Their last election was interrupted by their wildfires. So we actually already don't have winter elections. The last time one went down in Ontario was 62 years ago. So this actually doesn't happen. It still doesn't change the fact that we should know what to do with snow, but our country actually did figure out that we shouldn't put barriers up for elections.
Which begs the question, why, right?
Yeah.
Why? I mean,
why this election?
Yes, this snap election makes me so angry. And because as you mentioned, it is gonna cost us taxpayers almost $200 million. Let that sink in. That is up 30% from a previous budget. Again, as you pointed out, this was unnecessary, already in a majority. So what is it? It's a strategic move, right? Now think about this. This was announced at the end of January. I don't know about you, but I have family members who are all in Florida already, who are snowbirds, and for better or worse, you know, we'll talk about that later on, but they are not here. And I said to them, well, could you do voting? We looked into it. It is so complicated for them to vote, to get the paperwork in, to get it, you know, signed and off again. Also, did you know that there is an option if you needed to for someone from Elections Canada to come to your home?
Elections Ontario.
Elections Ontario, sorry. I didn't know this.
I didn't know that.
But it is possible, but probably complicated. So I don't want, for me right now, also, I'm just going to mention one more thing, which is I think for younger people, this is around the time in universities where it's like reading week.
Yeah.
So to me, what you're doing is a whole bunch of people, not to mention the snow problem, are not going to come out to vote. Right. So what I want people to hear is that you need to let your anger about this fire you up to turn up to vote. You need to say something. We should all be outraged and let our voting show
Unless
that outrage.
was the plan.
Oh yeah, that was the
that's
plan.
the thing.
He's counting on voter apathy.
Yep.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting, you know, coincidentally voter suppression. I'll just say it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm going to be voting for snow removal. That's my number one vote. $200 million. It's cost a couple bucks to some neighborhood kids. Clear my way so I can
Neighborhood
vote.
kids. Those kids are on their phone.
Yeah, it's true. Colin Jost recently revealed that he dug through 12 dumpsters of trash looking for Scarlett Johansson's lost engagement ring. He didn't find it. He ended up finding out that she had it in her pocket. the whole time. So at what point do you actually give up on a misplaced item? Or conversely, Miguel, if I can ask you, how far would you go to try to find something that you thought was lost like this?
I'd probably quit around dumpster 6. But also, I got a call a little fib here from Colin Jost trying to score points with his wife. 12 dumpsters? Where do you even find 12 dumpsters together to look through?
They live in New York. There are dumpsters literally everywhere in every alley. I am with him, and first of all, I'm cheap. So if I spend money on something and I misplace it, I would climb through all the dumpsters. But when you hear the information about the ring that she lost, you're gonna change your tune. Because that ring was worth $400,000. Wow. It's an 11-carat, light browning, elongated oval diamond with a black ceramic band. I would climb over broken glass and raw sewage to find that ring. Because that is a lot of money. Look at that.
But
how many carats?
That's 11 carats, $400,000.
Because I was going to say,
if you're as rich as them, don't you have like 5 of those rings? Like, can't you just replace it so easily?
Don't you just have insurance?
I'm sorry, listen, she's rich, he works at SNL. We have to do a lot of overtime and doing a lot of coverage of the Olympics to afford that ring. So that's why he's in the dumpster.
I mean, why wasn't she in the dumpster looking for the ring? That's one question.
Because it was his money?
Okay,
I don't know.
It was her loss. Anyway, I've been in a dumpster looking for something. So
that's so brave of you to admit.
Thank you.
I was in high school and I worked at this coffee shop, and so at the end of the shift, you had to take the garbage out, and I was holding
Where is this story going, Cynthia? What are you dumpster diving for?
This was the dumbest thing. I was holding my car keys on the same hand. I'm a 16-year-old. I'm a dummy, and I threw it, and I threw my keys as well with it.
You could just see them in slow motion, like, no!
So luckily, I got on top, and I was just like, I don't know what this is going to be like, but they were sitting like right on top. So
you didn't have to go too far.
No, I didn't have to go too far. I think I had limits to that. Like, I think I would have just been like, called my parents and been like, sorry, the keys are gone.
Do you feel like a changed person now that you've been in a dumpster?
I suppose I do.
I was so nervous at one point in that story that you're going to say, I was looking for some snacks because I was hungry and I went to the shop. And I was like, but car keys, of course.
Yeah,
I'll win.
I mean, one time I did lose a diamond earring down the drain. And so at that point, you're like, what do you do? And luckily, Ryan is a contractor. He tore apart the plumbing in our house and found the diamond earring.
Wait, quick question. Did he buy the earrings?
My in-laws did.
Okay, that's why he's like, I'll tear this house limb from
He bought some goodwill with you now.
I mean, it was really romantic, I'm going to say, because he was sweating and there were pipes all over the place. Nobody could flush the toilet or wash a dish for a day.
How romantic.
But he found it, right?
I feel like I lose things. Does anyone else feel like they lose things all the time?
It's menopause, baby.
No,
it's menopause.
I don't think it's. I think there's a little elf living in my house who takes things and moves them around.
Oh, no. The elf is called your husband and your kid. And this is what happens when you live in a house with a bunch of people. Everybody's moving. Listen, I live by myself. Everything's exactly where I left it. The food that I ate is exactly where I left it. My slippers, all my stuff. And that's when you live with people, because I live with a family. This is why your stuff's always going missing, because someone comes in a room, moves things, takes things.
I don't know. I have found almost everything I've ever lost. Like, I lost a ring, found it in a pocket later on. I've lost earrings, I've lost glasses, things like that. The one thing I can't find is my passport. And I had to apply for a new one.
You need that.
I'm telling you, there's an elf somewhere on a trip across the world with my passport claiming he's Cynthia Loyst.
I can't blame menopause for losing stuff. So that's why I had 2 kids. So I can just be like, they did it. The kids must have did it.
Subscribe to The Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.